Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about vocabulary and where to start, especially with a little one that might not be talking yet, where to start with the words that we are teaching them. There's a million trillion words out there, so it can be really overwhelming for parents to think about, well, what words do I start with? And why do I start with those words? So I'm here to kind of explain that a little bit. I'm going to be talking today about what speech pathologists call core words and fringe words. Now, SLPs out there know that core and fringe are generally used with AAC, which is augmentative and alternative communication. And what that is it's different ways to communicate without speaking. So it can be pictures, it can be gestures, body language, or communicating on some sort of device. So when an SLP is setting up a vocabulary system for an individual that's using something besides speech, that's what we look at is core and fringe words, because that's the words that we're going to target to teach them to communicate. With your little one, it's the same thing because you're trying to figure out the words that they are going to use the most. And that's where these two come in. So core words are the words that we use most frequently. It makes up about 75 to 80% of the words we use daily. Things like I and want and more. They can make up their own sentence that way too, but also things like go and yes and no. I didn't mean to rhyme there, I swear. And done. So all of those words that can be used in a variety of settings. So the situation that you're doing with your child, playing or in the car, it's not specific to those words, right? You can incorporate those words in the car. You can say, go, 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 the car's going. Or if you're in the house, you can say, oh, we're going to the living room or whatever it is, but it's not dependent on the situation. So fringe words is the opposite of that. It is dependent on the situation. And those make up less of the words we speak. That's about 25% of the words we say. And these words are usually nouns. And again, they are things that can only be addressed when the material item is there. So things like juice and baseball and pumpkin. A lot of children's first words are fringe words. So things like blue and ball and bubble. I feel like those are the first three words or most common three first words that I hear, because first of all, that B sound is the easiest to produce, that labial sound. And those are things that children see all the time, right? You're playing with balls a lot, you're doing bubbles, the color blue is there a lot. So, and that's great. Those fringe words are great. However, they're not always going to be functional for communicating your child's wants and needs and having a communication exchange. They only are functional when you have that ball or bubble or something blue present, right? So to be able to communicate functionally, they really need to learn those core words. So that's why if you've watched my other videos, I always give the example of more, especially if I'm integrating sign or gestures into my therapy sessions. I always start with more or done or go. Those are the big ones because they're functional and they can use them in a variety of different settings. They're so much more flexible and they can, again, make the opportunity to speak for your child, right? And that's what it's all about, is having the opportunity. So there's more opportunities to communicate with those core words. So that's the most important thing. And as a whole, though, both of those words working together create language and create communication. So you're not just going to look at the core functional words or just the fringe noun words. You're going to look at both of them and integrate and support both of them, because eventually, once your child learns a multitude of each, it will begin to build on sentences, and that's how we put sentences together. My recommendation, however, is if your child is a late talker or they're not speaking yet, that you do target those core words first, because again, they're going to have more opportunities to use them and to practice them in your daily life. And then you can start incorporating more of those fringe words in. But as a whole, you are really supporting language all the time, right? And you're really focusing on those words all the time, like I talked about with that self-talk. I always tell parents to make a list of words that you really want to target on that week. So maybe your core words are more, done, and go. And then your fringe words are all of the things you know you're going to be doing. So it's fall and you're going to a pumpkin patch. So you're going to target pumpkin and orange and corn. And those are all the words that you're really going to focus on. It can be overwhelming for a parent, I've found, if I just say, focus on all language, all words, all the time, talk about everything you're doing. It's stressful and it puts a lot of pressure on yourself. So again, my advice is to break it down and write it down so that it holds you accountable and so that you know that you're always trying to target certain words and do it in a functional way. If you have any questions about that, let me know.